What's up, folks? Todd Tramonte here with my buddy Jason Simard. You've heard this routine before. It's a dual threat show. We get together, we challenge each other, we have a conversation about an area that we're growing in our businesses, and we invite you in to the discussion to listen in, and then certainly to comment and share and ask questions and all those good things when these things finally get published. So let's do that again. So make sure you're always commenting and sharing and liking and all that stuff. Look, we're not trying to make it, actually we make zero money on this thing, but the reason for that is it lets us know that you want more of it, lets us know which topics you like more. And then if you comment and things like that, we may end up just connecting with you one-off and finding a way that we can help, whether it's paid coaching or a referral or not. I know Jason and I both take a lot of 5-minute, 10-minute calls just to see how we can help. And a lot of you have returned the favors and helped us. So we appreciate that. So what's up, Jason? Welcome to the show.
What's up, Todd? Hey, I know we talked about a topic before jumping on the show here, but I'm going to throw a curveball at you and I'm going to change it. We're going to talk about the importance of online reviews, and maybe we could do that for a quick minute. But then I think I'm going to throw a curveball at you.
I'm ready.
I'm an agent and I want to start adding leverage to my business. Who do I hire and why? Let's maybe bat that around after.
Yeah.
So let's start with our topic real quick. Let's start with our original topic, which is online reviews, the importance of them. I don't think that we need to go too far with that because it's pretty obvious. And then I'm going to throw a 180 and let's just throw that in there because that's what I'm working with a lot of students on right now is like leveraging for the first time. And
yeah, I think I've got time today to cover both of those. So I think the reviews is a little bit lengthier of a topic, and I'll say why, and then we'll just see how far it goes. But initially, if you're not getting reviews online, you're just slowly waiting to go out of business, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean you can't run a solo, super high value, hands-on, just grinder in the kindest, most loving way type of business by referral and do well. You can. But to truly own a business, to operate with some leverage, which we'll get to here in a second, reviews is one of those things that allows you to create momentum. It allows you to attract business. And I think the thing that I'm really trying to spend time just kind of thinking on lately is the value of the review beyond the obvious, right? So the obvious is, somebody's Googling realtors in Nanaimo, Vancouver Island, whatever, and they come across Sims Real Estate, Jason Simard, whatever, one of your team members, and they're like, oh, wow, they're legit. The other thing, and this is to me still fairly obvious, but kind of the deeper layer is no matter what you're doing, what type of marketing, relationship building, even repeat and referral business, everyone is checking you out online. Everyone is going to take at least that second look after a referral or a marketing piece was successful or whatever, just to say, all right, let me check them out. That's the world we're living in. And people are moving so much more towards TripAdvisor and, before people do anything, let me check the reviews, Amazon reviews. Even if I'm not buying it on Amazon, I'll go check Amazon reviews sometimes. And I'm not as into that as I think a lot of people. So that stuff being said, I just think it's so, so valuable. So while we're sitting on that topic, what are you and your team and coaching clients and things like that doing, Jason? And where do you see opportunity and what's worked and where's room for growth and all that?
Well, number one, I think it's important that you have Google reviews. Google is the largest search engine on the planet, and it's one that a lot of you, your clients are using on a daily basis. So Google reviews is a big one. Make sure you set up your business page with Google. Make sure you're getting some reviews on there. Make sure they're organic reviews. Don't just put, 5-star rating. Actually get people to put comments on what the service level was, because what people do is they actually read those comments, and that helps them formulate an opinion of your business. Second, obviously for me, Facebook's a big one too, just because we do a lot with Facebook. So make sure you're getting some Facebook reviews. If you're in US markets, Zillow reviews is probably a big one because Zillow happens to be a pretty big portal that a lot of people are using to search real estate. So I would highly recommend that. TripAdvisor is another really good one that you should be putting some time into. Just get some Google review, build up that page. In our marketplace, there's things like Rate My Agent, Rank My Agent, which are like third-party companies that have created these ranking sites, which can definitely help with your online presence. I don't think you can get too many reviews on your site. And I think people trust reviews as much as they trust a referral from a friend or family member nowadays. It's not the same as it was 15 years ago, 20 years ago. People do really trust online reviews. I know for me, when I'm booking a hotel online, I am very influenced by the rating of the hotel.
Oh yeah.
Now, if it's 95% or higher, it's going to, attract me versus a hotel that's 75%, and I can see the number of reviews, and that gives me a lot of confidence in booking it. So people are searching you online. Your online footprint is very important, and you need to make sure that you put some attention to it, and don't be shy to ask for those reviews and build that up organically.
Yeah. And I would say if you don't do that, it's hurting you. It's not just a positive. It can be a huge negative. So let's say you're doing direct mail, and your direct mail is awesome and it works. Well, more and more and more, someone's going to get that direct mail and think, man, I would like to call this guy or this girl. But before I do, let me Google them real quick on my phone or whatever. And if they show up with 1 review or 4 reviews, and next to them is someone with 60 reviews, your postcard might have just ended up driving traffic to that other person. People will just stop and be like, oh, this person's not legit. This person's not significant or full-time or whatever. So I would just say, yes, it can be a huge add-on to your business, but if you are not adequately managing, it's holding you back. Now, let me just make a quick comment on Zillow, because Jason was talking about how in America that's a big deal. It is a big deal, but we don't focus a lot of time and attention on Zillow, and I'll tell you why. One, because we did for a while, so we have an adequate presence there. And I won't blame anybody for making sure that you have at least an adequate presence there. And I'm not like a total paranoia type person with Zillow. Like I don't give Zillow any money. I never have, and I don't intend to ever. But I'm not like out picketing in the streets either. But my point is that I'm well aware I don't own any of these reviews, right? Unless it's on my site. And even then, I'm not sure I fully own it, because the provider of my site or the host or whatever could take it all away. But especially with Zillow, I'm really creating a tremendous amount of content for them on their platform that they control completely. It also requires someone to be logged into Zillow to interact with it or to leave a review in a lot of ways. And there are some strategic reasons I'm not a huge fan of that. We could talk more about it if people have real interest later, but I have, we've made a strategic decision, and we did this about, 5-6 years ago, that Google would be our primary. We always want that to be the first place someone leaves a review. Some of the reasons are Google then factors that into their overall algorithm on search response and natural search ranking, and YouTube and Google, or Google owns YouTube. Like there's a lot of connectivity and search engine value to being strongest on a Google local search. So we're deeply investing in not just the reviews, but the reviews, posts, photos, operation hours, and a lot of things on that Google local, or what now is called Google My Business profile. So I would challenge you not only to get the reviews, respond to every single review as quickly as you can, and make sure that you don't just get reviews in surges, right? So you tell everyone on your team, like, let's spend the next 2 hours getting reviews. And then you do that again 6 months later. That's great. But Google sees that you're not consistent. A good, healthy business would gather reviews consistently. And all those things affect the amount of traffic, the amount of suggestion, where you rank on the map, and search response. So I'm not like a super techie Google guy, but I'm into it enough to understand where are they incentivizing me to play their game a little bit, and where are they giving me a lot more control and ownership than a Zillow, or even worse, I'm totally blanking on Yelp. Yelp is like super controlling, and they won't publish things, and they'll pull stuff down if they think it's not, whatever. One other quick tip on that, and then I'll let you give some thoughts, Jason, and maybe we can change the subject if it's time for that. This is not to encourage you to do bogus reviews, because you should never, ever, ever ask for or post bogus reviews. But it's important that we open our minds beyond closed and funded happy clients giving reviews. I want to really challenge people to consider getting reviews during a transaction and get reviews from people that have not yet transacted with you. But it's got to be, they have to say something that is true and accurate. They might be able to say, hey, we haven't bought or sold with Sims yet, but they've helped us protest our property taxes, or they helped us find a contractor, or they helped some of our friends and that's who we plan to help. Or it might be your lender or your attorney or title company or your remodeler. Hey, we do a ton of business with them and their clients are always totally prepared. That's kind of like, if you think about it from a legal perspective, that's kind of like a character witness, right? It's like, hey, these are trustworthy. We do business with them. We've never bought or sold with them, but we work with them all the time and they're an incredible business. Those types of reviews are really valuable. And when I respond to those reviews on Google, I always say, thank you so much for posting this. This will really help people who are making a decision whether or not to, inquire with us or interview us or something like that. And I want the people that read my response to see, man, that's the kind of company I want to work with, is someone that understands that I still have a decision to make. They're not just trying to steamroll me. So anyway, thoughts on any of that, Jason?
No, I think it's something you should put some heavy focus on in your business. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and it's time well spent, and it helps you build a stronger digital footprint, which you need in this world now where everybody has a computer in their pocket. I mean, literally everybody has a computer in their pocket at every time, every minute of every day, it seems like. So for us to not adapt that in our businesses would be a mistake. So I agree with everything Todd just said. And in fact, I took a couple notes. So if you're not doing it, guys, make sure that you're building your digital footprint.
Last thought on those reviews before we change the subject. To take out the digital piece, and don't forget the value of just good old-fashioned social proof, third-party recommendation, right? So what we're trying to always be better at is when someone walks into our office, and we do a lot of our appointments in the office, what do they see? How do they feel? We want it to be all about them. But it's nice to have, like on our TV screen in the entry, some reviews that are relevant to that visitor's story. So we're trying to find a way to have like slides created that we can put on that screen where we have 40 or 50 different reviews. And if we know a young first-time home buying couple's coming in, we want to throw up some reviews that are really relevant to them. If we know empty nesters who are thinking about downsizing are coming in, they have one to sell and one to buy, we'd like to get some reviews up that are relevant to them. Same thing with what we hang on the wall in our conference room across from where we're going to sit them down, so that what they're looking at is confidence building and encouraging and informative to them. Not, I was going to say not manipulative. I mean, we want to lead them to the conclusion that we want for us and also that's best for them. But if we have the ability to do that, to speak to their situation with other people's feedback, I think that's more powerful than just having the same 3 rotating and on the website for 50 years, right? So I'm just trying to share what we're working on, where we're trying to get better, even offline. And also when we get those Google reviews saying, hey, would it be okay with you if we publish that in our office? Would it be okay if we put that in our newsletter or in our pre-listing packet or whatever the case may be? Because when you get a great one, it's worth using a lot of places. So anyway, that's a lot on reviews, but that's one of the things I'm working on, and we're going to train on our offsite quarterly training day here in a couple of days. So I just wanted to give a lot of what I've kind of been gathering. So you wanted to change topic a little bit. So why don't you kick us off on that?
Let's just give it a quick 180. So successful agent, producing 50 deals a year, 75 deals a year. They're at a point in their business where they realize there's only so much that they can do on their own, and they want to start leveraging. So what would you recommend to a student who's in that position? So they have a track record of success. So they're making good money, I'd say, and they're successful selling a reasonable amount of houses. Any advice that you'd give them on the path? Let's just say they have a strong assistant already, so they have that part taken care of.
Okay.
are looking to hire their first salesperson. A lot of people want to go and hire an inside sales agent. Some people want to hire a buyer's agent. What's your philosophy on that? And then I'll share my philosophy.
Yeah. So we've talked about this a few times. This is interesting because we're assuming they already have some administrative support. Most people would say that administrative hire is the wise first hire. I won't argue with that, but I will say that's not always the case 100%. But most people are going to start there, and that's a good choice. So let's assume that's already been done. And we're talking about hiring your first sales help, right? I'll just real quick, I'll tell you what I did. I hired, my first sales help was buyer help. But I have a big beef with that as universal advice. And the reason is, and I think we've talked about this before, is you may be uniquely gifted to be great with buyers. That may be kind of where your heart is and where your brain is wired. And if that's the case, I don't know if you need permission, but I want to give you permission to continue to do that. This idea that listers last and you have to move towards the listing side and give away the buyer side because that's where the leverage is and that's where the business grows. I just think it's bad advice, and I think it's often hurtful advice because you may love getting out and viewing homes with buyers and handing keys off, and that may be where God uniquely gifted you, or which is kind of the way you were born or whatever. So I give you full permission, if it helps, to stay in that role. And that person might want to hire additional administrative support so they could still do listings and buyers, or they might want to hire an agent that's a little bit more wired toward process management and systems so that that person can take on more of the front end listing business, and the leader, the team leader, whatever, the person that's leveraging could stay in buyers. So I'm remembering how we've talked about this in the past, but the first thing I would say is you've got to really know yourself and your giftedness and your abilities so that then you could leverage in areas where you might be less inclined, less excited, or less gifted, so that you, as a team, as an organization, you could still provide phenomenal value to your client. So I'll leave it there and let you talk, and then maybe we'll go back.
Sure. So here's my thoughts on this. It depends on the type of business that you're running. If you're running a business that's, high on referrals, you're trying to really get the internet stuff going, I'd highly recommend that you create a mentorship opportunity where somebody starts off in an inside sales agent position for 90 days at least. And then you basically teach them how to prospect, how to use proper CRM system, how to follow up with leads. And this is something that we spend a lot of time with our students on that are interested in learning how to convert internet leads and having massive success with it. But it's very important that they learn how to fish for themselves early, because that's the number one gift you can give an agent out of the gate, is the ability to create business. Yep. And so I spend a lot of time in the first 90 days giving them the tools on how to convert properly, how to have, a strong buyer's consultation that builds trust and rapport and really gets to understand the client, how to pre-qualify a buyer lead or a seller lead, how to convert internet leads. So I would definitely say create a mentorship opportunity where maybe they spend 3-6 months in an inside sales agent role, and they can start teeing up opportunities for you or for yourself, and then use that as a training ground for them to become an agent. I did that with my first 2 agents that we brought into the team. And in the very first year, Jackie did 71 sales and Kirsten did 49 sales with us. Incredible numbers that they were able to do. But because we had a solid lead gen system behind them and we taught them the tools to be successful, it gave them a lot of momentum going into their business. So we have a whole 90-day onboarding program that we've created specifically to address that really helps. And I'd recommend doing that. It's time well spent. If you can take an agent from scratch and teach them all the right behaviors right off the bat, you're going to have a much higher success focused agent right out of the gate. That's my thoughts. I like that. Give them a mentorship opportunity where they can really learn what's going to make them money long-term, play a long game with it. And then they'll have a lot more success out of the gate. They'll have a pipeline too. After that 90 days, they'll have built a pipeline. So they have things to sink their teeth into. And there'll be a lot of different opportunities where you can jump in and provide mentorship and help them through that lead generation and prospecting. So I'd have a very prospect heavy business right off the bat. Now there's some people that say have them calling FSBOs and expireds. because I have such an abundance of lead generation in other areas, I don't need to call FSBOs and expired. So I haven't built my business on that. Not saying that that isn't a good place for some people to focus, but there's so much abundance of opportunities coming in. We don't need that, and we're able to crush it.
Yeah.
Buyer and seller leads. So
yeah, we're super similar. We've done what we call the agent in training role. We've done it that way for years and years and years and years. It used to be a 90-day period, just like yours. We've condensed the initial training piece to 6 weeks. And really the only difference there is it used to be 90 days before that agent was then determined to be a buyer specialist or a marketing specialist on our team. And so to your point, it's not only prospecting coaching, but that's the dominant training that's happening. They're shadowing, they're learning title, they're learning mortgage, they're learning insurance, they're learning our unique propositions and our values and our systems, the way we literally transact and file things and all that stuff. But they're spending the vast majority of their time learning to convert opportunity from, prospect to client to nurture. So it used to be 90 days before they were able to go out and transact business on their own. Now we've condensed it to 6 weeks, but the training doesn't stop at 6 weeks. No. It's just in the initial 6 weeks, we try to determine, are you more wired and inclined and successful on the buy side or the sell side? And for the first 6 weeks, you're prospecting and potentially cultivating and setting appointments for current team members that are selling. And then after that, that's when you can begin to build your own pipeline. So I'm sure there's some uniquenesses and differences in there, but I agree that if an agent can afford and from a team leader or a broker kind of be afforded the opportunity to put blinders on for 6 or 12 weeks and only focus on learning. And some of that learning is by doing, of course. Then you can get the equivalent of a couple of years worth of experience and training versus someone that jumps in and is trying to struggle through that first or second deal while learning. You can't give the same amount of attention to learning and gaining confidence, which is one of the most important things, with some integrity from having the mindset of abundance to say, I'll pass on that. I won't stretch the truth there. I won't say I can do something I can't, because I've been put into an environment where I can work at such a pace that there'll be another opportunity. I'm not going to stretch that too far. So in that regard, I think we're super, super similar. We've called that role agent in training, and anyone we hire comes in as an agent for a sales role, comes in as an agent in training. So we don't label that buyer or seller or inside sales at the beginning. We determine that through that process.
Yeah, I like it. Invest in your people, create systems. So one of the things that I often see with very successful agents that I'm coaching and working with is they're just like, well, I just do what I do and I get a lot of results. I'm like, that's great. That's amazing. But I can't teach that to anybody else. Right. So how do we take what's in your brain and create systems and processes that we could plug people into and teach them how to do that? Because it's the only way you can go from a single agent to a scalable business is you have to have systems and processes that you put into play that we can plug people into.
Let me ask you a super quick question. Like, what's just one good strategy for that? Like, okay, like I've got coaching, I've got a couple, but one coaching client I'm thinking about right now, she's incredible. I mean, her production's amazing. And we're working on, I'm helping her get it out of here and into a platform or something where then that can be leveraged over and over and over and over again, and she can continue to sharpen it. And we've got a very good start going. But what's just one thing that you would talk to a coaching client or a team member or an agent you're helping in some other way leverage a little bit, get their way, which might actually be really successful and quality, transferred to someone else? What's just one thing you guys?
Well, I mean, so it depends on what their process is, but let's just say it's their listing process. What I would do is I would interview them and ask them, what are the things that they do in their listing process that helps them be successful?
Yep.
And well, let's start documenting that. So I'd start pulling it out and let's create systems and documentation for it. And just start asking questions. Okay, what do you do? What do you do to set up the appointment? What do you do when you go to the appointment? There's got to be some common things that they do that are making them successful. And then I break it down. And then obviously I would do a litmus test with some of the things that I've tried and tested, and we talk about it, and maybe we could find some things that make use our systems and theirs and combine them together to make it even better. But I need to pull out what their genius is, what's making them successful, and then document it in a process, a sales process that I can teach other people and plug them into. And that's what I did. In order to exit production, I had to spend a year documenting and creating the things that I was doing well so I could teach others to do it. And I hate to cut this short, but I've got to go look after the kids. My wife had an appointment. She just gave me the look like, hey, you need to be upstairs. So, but yeah, that's what I would do. Just think about everything that you do and realize how could you teach that? And the only way to teach it to somebody else is breaking it down into systems and processes that are step by step. And that is how you build a scalable business. Is everything just has to be systemized. You walk into Todd's business, everything has a system. Everything has a process. You walk into my business now, everything has a system and everything has a process. Yeah. And that makes it easy for us to just hire the right talent and plug them into the system and then teach them the philosophies.
If only that part was easy. Finding a ton of wonderfully talented people.
Trust me, it's not easy, but it's a lot easier when you have systems to plug people into, because we have confidence, because they're tried and true systems that work. And then just having that confidence in teaching people makes a lot of sense.
And just one last nugget as we wrap up. One of the very similar is when we're working with someone, it's not as pure as a linear interview, but we're pulling out those chunks. And then the way I started my coaching consulting business is because we had created a module training system for our team members, right? And other people wanted access to it. So we started doing that. So that's what I help a lot of our clients do, is create online training modules and courses so they can put new hires through it. So anyway, that's just one quick tip. Screen capture video is a really good way to start that. It might be a little rough, but it just gets it to a process that can be automated. So anyway, for the sake of Jason's marriage and his children and my next meeting too, we'll wrap it up. Make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you download and like and all those things, just to let us know what you like and what you want us to do more of. We do this to help each other, but we love sharing it with you. Any final thoughts, Jason?
No, I love it. And keep coming with ideas. If you guys have topics you want us to cover, if you want to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have a guest on here who has a specific topic they'd love to share. Let us know. We'd love to have you on. And thanks, Todd. Have an amazing day.
Yeah, man. You too. Have fun with the kiddos. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Bye.